Our construction company has been going through some hard times in the last couple of years due to some litigation. And I wanted to get on here because I've been invited onto a lot of different podcasts and radio shows lately to tell the story. And when, things happen like this, for me, I try to find some kind of positive route that I can take away from what's happening. And I thought that I should share the story because if I learned two different ways. I learned either the hard way or I learned from someone else who has learned it the hard way. And this time I learned a lesson the hard way. And I'm hoping by sharing this lesson that you, if you're a contractor or in this industry, can learn from my mistakes and the hardship that our company's going through so that you don't end up going through the same situation that we're in. So, I'm filming this now. It's November, mid-November of 2023. And this whole incident had started back in 2019. So it's been going on for quite a while. And I could tell you, if you've never been in litigation, I wouldn't recommend it. It's a lot of mental stress. It's hard to stay focused on what really is important and moving forward in your business and moving forward in life. And it's expensive. So, anyways, I'm going to start off and I'm going to tell you the story, and hopefully it'll make sense to you, and hopefully you'll be able to learn again from this situation that we're in. So back in 2019, our company was hired by a couple by the names of Sarah and Kevin McCain. They live in Paradise, California. And they hired us to do a pretty extensive home remodel project, pretty much remodeling the entire house. And then we also added on about 500 or so square foot off to the back of the kitchen. Well, anyway, so as we're going through the project, we're about 75% complete on this one. And Sarah, the wife, comes at me pretty aggressively and says that they're out of money and that they can't afford to finish the project with us. And if you've been in this industry long enough, you know that's a breach of contract. But at the same time, you want to do fair business. So, for us anyways, we want to do fair business. So we decided that it would be best that we just walked away, let them finish what they needed to do or however they were going to do it. I let them know that we were here for them. If they needed any more help, I'd even give them some free help and do whatever I could to keep them happy and get them into their house. And they weren't open to working with us at all anymore. Of course, we were to blame because we were the ones that were doing the work and we were the ones that they were compensating. So we're the problem, obviously. So moving on beyond that, we had a final invoice for about $35,000-ish, somewhere in there. And so we send that over to them and we ask them, hey, we're parting ways, but we need you to pay the last invoice. And they refused to pay it. They said they didn't have the money. So if you're a contractor in California, you know that you have, as a general, you have 90 days to file a mechanics lien on someone or on the project that if you didn't get paid. And so we made the McCains aware of that, and they just wanted to keep pushing back. And so about day 88 or 89, we decided we were forced. Our hands were tied, and we went ahead and filed a mechanics lien. So in my mind, I thought, these people, they're hurting financially. I'll just put this mechanics lien out there for the amount that they owe us. It'll protect us for in the future that someday they may sell the house or may want to refinance the house. And at that point, they'd be in a situation where they could pay us and everybody's happy. Well, unfortunately, in California, that's not the way it works. You put a mechanics lien on, and then the state of California forces you to open litigation and to foreclose on their home within the next 90 days. So this is where it starts to get ugly. In 16 years of business, we've never needed an attorney. We've never been in any kind of litigation or people not paying us. This is the first client in 16 years that refused to pay us. We hire an attorney and we start getting educated on how this is all going to go down. We wait again, almost the full 90 days, trying to negotiate with these folks, with the McCains, because nobody wants to end up in litigation. Nobody wants to go through the courts, and it's just, nobody wins. And they still refused to pay, and then they started getting really nasty, and so we had to file suit. and they decided that they were going to hire an attorney and fight back. So somehow they didn't have the $35,000 for us, but they had a couple $100,000 to pay an attorney to fight to not pay the $35,000. Tell me how that makes sense. I don't know, but that's what they did. And so they ended up hiring an attorney who was pretty nasty, and she is, for the last 3 years, been going down multiple rabbit holes and conspiracy theories and anything that she could figure out, find any kind of case law or something to figure out a way for them not to pay. And that's really intrusive on your company. I mean, they put us through depositions, myself, my whole family, my friends, every person that's involved in the company, our subcontractors. They were just interrogating all of us, trying to find somewhere where we messed up, find some loophole to where they wouldn't have to pay their bill. Through discovery, which is something I learned, I didn't even know what discovery was until now, they were able to go and subpoena all of our QuickBooks files, all of our corporate documentation, all of our paperwork, behind the scenes paperwork, anything that we had that had to do with the construction company. And then on top of that, even some of our personal stuff. And so over the years of doing that, they finally found that loophole or that I that wasn't dotted that's helped them. So here's the lesson that you need to probably go back and make sure that you guys are in compliance, because I know that there's most contractors, especially when they're first getting started, they're flying by the seat of their pants. They don't have any money. They are cutting corners anywhere they can. And usually the most common place that they cut corners is the workers' comp policy. Workers' comp is a pain in the butt, especially in California. And there's a lot to it. You have to have someone pretty much hired on to handle your payroll and your workers' comp to do it correctly. So what we chose to do was hire a third-party company that did nothing but payroll. So they're a payroll processing company, and they did all that for us. So we had workers' comp. We were totally legit. And what had happened for us was they found this case law that says if you don't have workers' comp on even one employee, or even a subcontractor that's working for you that doesn't have workers' comp even on one employee, that your license is supposed to be suspended per law, they call it. Now keep in mind, if you're working and your workers' comp like expires, or you cancel it, or you're going through a change with another insurance company or whatever, and the CSLB finds out about that, then the CSLB says, hey, we know you don't have workers' comp. We're going to send you a letter. They give you 30 days to correct it before they suspend your license. So we never got any kind of letters or anything like that. Our license was never suspended, but because there's this case law out there, which I've learned a lot about, then they were able to take that and they looked at our partner, Dave, and because they had all of our corporate documentation, they were able to look through there with a microscope and find an I that wasn't dotted. And that I that wasn't dotted was that we never gave Dave a corporate officer title, meaning we never named him as the president or the vice president or the secretary or whatever corporate position we wanted him to be. And because of that, this attorney on the other side was able to go to the courts and convince the judge that Dave was an employee and not an actual owner or part owner of the company. And because of that, they were able to convince the judge that we didn't have workers' comp on an employee, which by law, because of this case law, means our license was supposed to be suspended. Well, as you know, in California, if you do work without a contractor's license, you're not entitled to any compensation. So now, not only are the McCains not having to pay their bill, but now we have to give them back all of their money that they spent on this project. And, you know, I'm just dumbfounded by the fact that this even exists, because I realize now that we have a better return policy than Costco. They don't even have to give us back the products. And obviously they can't give us back our time and our skills and all the tools we use, like everything that goes into building something, especially as elaborate as what they were doing. But we lost. We lost in court. The judge sided with them and said that we have to give them all their money back. Okay. So obviously we're hurt by that. We are like just dumbfounded. We're like questioning whether, you know, we even want to do business in California anymore, because there's like this unknown stuff that could pop up like this. And to make it even worse, another customer of ours that we were working for at the same time catches wind of all this. And for them, we're building them a full out custom home, like brand new house, like full, super nice, 2,800 square foot, 5-bedroom house. I mean, it's a really nice house. Well, they catch wind that, hey, we may not have to pay for this. And so they get involved with the same attorney, and then they file suit against us as well. And so here we go through the whole thing again. And, to this point, today, we're still in litigation. Matter of fact, we went to depositions yesterday. So the reality of them probably winning and getting the same ruling as the McCains is probably pretty high. It's just insane that these people think that they're entitled to a free house just because of some case law that they were able to come up with and some rabbit hole that ended up working out for somebody. So anyways, in that case, we're not talking small money either. We're upwards of we're between the two will be over 7 figures that we're going to lose out on. So we spend a couple of years doing these projects between the two, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now we have to give it all back. And so Brandon and Jill Pruis, who also live in Paradise, this is the couple. These people were supposed to be friends of ours. Our kids raced bicycles together, and they came to us and asked them to build them a home. But as soon as they caught wind that they didn't have to pay for it, they jumped right on the bandwagon with this attorney and got in a nick of time. Because thankfully, there is a statute of limitation on this. So thankfully, if you've already been working on, without workers' comp being, up to date, they can only go back a year. So the Pruises, they end up getting in underneath the wire. So the lesson of the story is, and you really got to make sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed. I know for contractors, most of contractors, they can swing a hammer real well, or they're good at plumbing, or they're good electricians, and then they decide they don't want to work for someone anymore, and they go out and they get their contractor's license, go into business, and away they go. But what you need to realize is that you need to be just as good as your craft, as good as being able to do the behind the scenes, the business side of it as well. And my recommendation is, don't try to take that all on yourself. You need to hire good staff, outsource it to attorneys and people that know what they're doing to keep you out of anything remotely like this situation could happen. I say that, but even this one, I don't think we would have been caught out of it. I don't think it, because our attorney, and we've talked to multiple attorneys about this, and not one of them have known about this case law in this situation. So it's kind of a rare event, but we found the two families that happen to live right down the street from each other who don't have much morals and decide that they're owed free housing, and they want to take that from my family and I. So here we are. So anyway, so it's like I said, it's mid-November. We're still in the court process with the Pruises, with Jill and Brandon. I just don't get it. Jill has a great job. She works for the Paradise, the Skyway Hospital Center, and Brandon works for the college, Chico State College, and they got all this money from the insurance company to build this house, and through the process, I told them multiple times that they were going over budget, multiple times, over budget, and they just kept saying, we have the money. But the second that the insurance ran out, all of a sudden they didn't have the money. So long story short, I'll make a part 2 to this video when we get done with all the litigation with the Pruises, and let you know how it went. But if it goes anything like it did with the McCains, we're probably going to be out of business, because we're just a small construction company that we can't afford $1 million to shell out $1 million to someone. And the more I think about it, do I really want to do that? I mean, why would I want to do business in the state if it's really that easy for the state of California to basically knock you out of business with some dumb law or dumb rule? But so I'm kind of getting a little bit of opinionated here. That wasn't the idea behind this. Again, I just wanted to share with you, if you're in the construction world, and hopefully that you can take a lesson from me and not get yourself in a situation like we're in, and you can continue to do good business in this state. So take care. I hope this was beneficial to you, and like I said, I'll make a part 2 when this is all over and let you know how it went.